Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Away Day show. Been away for a few weeks, but we're all back together again, which is good. But in that 3 weeks, a lot's happened. Lots happened. We'll sort of structure it again. We'll work down, but got to start with Inter Miami at the moment. Seriously, it's looking exciting over there. David Beckham's put his money on the line there. Got a lot of Barca guys coming through. So we know Busquets is there, Alba's there, and Messi's there. Yeah. But he was saying just earlier off air, Suarez is rumoured, and Iniesta, who's left Japan, could be coming there as well. I guess how exciting is this for the MLS?
Yeah, well, it's something I mentioned 3-4 weeks ago. I will take credit on myself here because you guys were saying more that Busquets and Alba would head to Saudi Arabia because of the money. And don't get me wrong, I understood that as well. But I just thought that for some players, getting the livability in Miami compared to Saudi Arabia, number one, and then being able to play with your mates. If it was probably. Nah, it's a big thing though sometimes. Being able to get the old gang back together. Even now, it's looking very likely that Suarez and Iniesta are going to end up there. The Fabrizio Romano live, here we go.
Xavi getting a call up.
Bringing him back.
The Fabrizio Romano live, here we go. Instagram account was after he posted about Alba, the confirmed signing of Alba, he was next. Iniesta and Suarez soon. Saying that, Fabrizio saying that, it's pretty imminent that it's eventually going to happen. Yeah. But I think at that point in their career, Suarez and Iniesta, I reckon are a bit different to a Busquets and an Alba in the sense they probably don't, at this stage of their career, attract much from Saudi Arabia. So they're probably more just coming to finish their career, because they probably wouldn't get much attention from Saudi Arabia. What do you reckon there?
Well, the Saudis are clearly targeting players who are predominantly nearing the end of the career, but at the same time, are still playing at the highest level. Yeah. So you got Riyad Mahrez is the recent one. Mahrez is just he's a Champions League final player. Just on the Champions League.
Well, the bloke's still good enough to play for City.
Was playing very well in the Premier League last year in the Premier League winning team. So look, it shows the level of player that the Saudis are being able to attract.
Yeah.
But then again, I guess, one of the appeals, I guess the main appeal with the Saudis is obviously all the money. So, you kind of mentioned the difference in terms of, why the players might be going to the MLS, for example, compared to the Saudi League. I guess, it's the sort of the livelihood they're looking for. Yeah. And even I saw even some of the players were, mentioning that in terms of, Ruben Neves was pretty open about how he's gone to Saudi, because he wants to be able to give his family the life he's always dreamt of, basically insinuating that the money has allowed him to live, live.
Yeah.
Give him so that's secure their financial freedom for the rest of their life. So it kind of, I guess, gives you an insight. Whereas, as you said, the guys going to the MLS are primarily moving to
I guess it builds on that point though. You said, it's an older group of players, right? So these are the players that have been at Barca, they've been paid almost. But I guess because they're older, is it actually going to you said that it's actually going to improve the league because it's one team and they're all older players. It could be another case like the Chinese league where they're there for 2 or 3 years and then it all just demolishes and then it all falls apart again.
I definitely see that. I think with a Busquets.
Which one do you think is more sustainable?
Oh, definitely Saudi Arabia. But
but obviously the MLS has had to invest a heap, regardless of whether
I don't think they've invested anywhere near Saudi Arabia either.
But my point is that the Saudis have gone an all or nothing approach where, if it fails, then they're going to lose obviously a lot of money. But the point is that the Saudis' method of trying to build their own league is much more, the likelihood of that sustaining in the future is way higher than it is for the MLS.
Yeah, but I disagree. I disagree in the sense that obviously Saudi Arabia is more likely to succeed in the future. But if you look at the MLS, have they spent? Obviously, they spent a lot more than they've ever spent before.
I'm sure
but have
they've
they spent? Even if you look at Messi's deal, Messi going to Saudi Arabia would have been 400 million. It's 70. Messi's future earnings are based on really now what he brings to the league.
It is to a degree, but I think
I'm
when you
sure
talk about
Messi's being paid
a lot of money.
Correct, but
he's extremely well.
Yes, he is, but it's
but whether it's
he brings to the
400
league.
or whether it's 150 or 200, it's
he's on 70 and then he's got all these bonuses and all these.
He's on 70 and then he can make his own team.
But I would say
But that's
But can they make the money back though?
To the league, that's not that big of a deal. Them in the future, them him making their own team.
No, I think you look at it though. Look at it it's one team. It's one solid team. I think the point about Saudi, it's spread across. It's not much, but it's 4 or 5 teams.
Yeah.
So you get more watching. Like people are watching. I'm not going to watch a Toronto versus Vancouver game because I don't care. Because one team. Games. Exactly. But that's not going to make enough money to pay back all this.
And even on the Miami games, it's like we've spoken before about what we think the Saudis are probably going to try and do with these 4 or 5 teams. Because like once again, like there's I guess the MLS has more organic growth than like the Saudis.
But a lot more
players. Yeah, well, no, I agree with that, but in the sense that there's kind of I think there's 2 different outcomes they're trying to achieve here. I think the Saudis are trying to get 1 or 2 teams in the European Super League.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I think that's the inevitability of it, like in the long term. So hopefully they can sustain themselves at a high enough level for like until this Super League, if it to happen, eventuates. So, whereas I think with the MLS, it's like I can't really see what the proposition of Messi coming brings to the league in terms of besides a little bit of foreign viewership for a few years until he retires, and then the league goes back to like just being predominantly an American league or South American league. I don't really see what necessarily the point of bringing Messi is in, besides maybe a short-term financial boost, and whether that's even going to be profitable, I don't know.
I don't think it is going to be profitable.
In that sense, what was the point of when they brought Henri there, when they brought
that was
Piero,
the players
not Del Piero, when they brought Lapilo,
but when they brought like proper washed players, when the money was like the money wasn't as good in Europe back then. So there was more incentive to go like
get your bag.
The money in the MLS was able to, I guess, not just counter the European money, but like, I guess better it.
But really, Messi's probably on not that much more than what he would have been on in Europe.
That's what I'm saying.
Because Europe's leveled up. Europe has.
So back then, I kind of get it because I think the money was substantially better. That was the main reason for these players to go. I'm not sure necessarily, and I think back then as well, because the MLS was so new, or at least it felt so new. There was kind of the possibility to try and grow it internationally by taking a punt on a few like European big name players. Whereas nowadays, I don't actually necessarily understand what the point of just stacking into Miami is. I think maybe for David Beckham, it's I don't know what David Beckham's role is in the company.
He's part owner and like
director. He's a majority owner.
Yeah, for Becks, it's probably like he wants to become the biggest club in the MLS. And as a result, that'll draw major funding, right? He'll make a lot of money from that. So I understand that to a degree. I'm not necessarily sure how he's funding the payment of these players. So I don't think he was that.
All the league together. The whole club in the league is doing it because they're going to make money off it as well.
Well, I guess they will, but I don't. But
not to the degree.
I'm skeptical whether they will.
Yeah, I'm not.
Don't get me wrong. They probably won't make a lot. Yeah, but they look at like to some degree.
You look at what like Flynn said. It's almost like a case in point of it again happening. So MLS back then when like Henri happened, it's like okay, let's try something here. Yeah. It was popular early on because it's American, right? It was something different. It sort of maxed out when probably the end of Henri.
So when the A-League did the same thing, like bringing Del Piero in. It was like okay, we're in a pretty new league. Let's give it a crack at trying to get some international viewership. But they weren't willing to go all out to grow.
And once they left, it all fell apart. And the MLS right now is back to like ground zero. It's not a highly watched league. Stadiums aren't filling out. LA Galaxy don't have that same sort of vibe about it. But Saudi done differently, right? You're right. They've put all the chips in one basket. They said we're going to all go this summer and do it all. And they've got international talent. They've got European talent. They've got South American, They've got all this talent there.
Like they've got a variety of.
It's globalized.
Do you actually like America could even do that in the first place?
Could or couldn't?
Well, they can't really.
I agree, but this is what I don't necessarily understand what the point of the MLS doing this is. Besides maybe for Beckham's own personal finance, like he might see it as a good investment, but like where I'm sort of going with this is that even as you're touching on the MLS, like the MLS, I was looking at Arsenal's last trip to the US when they did the MLS All Stars versus them.
Yeah.
There was Drogba, there was Pirlo, there was massive names across the pitch. Nowadays, it's like, there's Benteke.
Yeah.
Legit, 3 days ago when they played, it was like, Christian Benteke is leading the line. It's like, the standard of players, it's just like a repeating cycle.
But you said there's still a couple of good players in the leagues.
No, but
like
it's not
Insigne's there, Bernadeschi's there.
Yeah, but Insigne's not the same as Pirlo and Drogba.
Yeah.
Like
there's
Pirlo
a level to it.
And Didier Drogba back then was like, these are some of the best players of the generation.
Yeah.
Insigne was like a solid Serie A player.
And you're always going to get that. You're always going to get the European guys who are going to go because there is a little bit of money there, right? There's money there, but
and some
compared
of
to the money in Saudi now,
I'm sure some of them like want to experience living in the US.
oh, yeah, and that
sure
freer
it's a
lifestyle because
factor.
they're not as crowded like in Europe where they're like hailed as gods and all that.
But I'm sure like. But overall, I don't necessarily understand the longevity of signing these players. I'm sure, as you said, for Suarez and Iniesta, they're probably not going to be getting paid a lot.
But they'll be paid nothing because realistically, they probably would have retired if this opportunity didn't come up.
I'm sure for these guys, they genuinely, it's one of the is like the love of the game. I'm sure that's a factor, right? At the same time as it is, Iniesta used to live in Japan. I'm sure he maybe wants to,
I'd struggle to see how he's on 3-4 mil.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. I don't think they're going for the money. There always is a novelty thing to have a season together or maybe 2 seasons together.
I think with Busquets and Alba, it's more probably a little bit more on the money than Suarez and Iniesta.
They're definitely getting paid more, like substantially more.
Yeah, because they had but then Busquets had a lot more from Saudi than Alba.
They could have got paid way more in the Saudi league as well. So there's definitely a bit of But
how much would he, I understand Busquets probably would have got a bit of money, but how much were they going to pay a left back to come over to the Saudi league?
Jordan Henderson got paid 700 grand.
Yeah, but look at Tellez. Tellez is only on 7 mil.
What's Henderson?
700 grand a week.
Oh my goodness.
Tellez is on 7 mil.
I know, but I think I'm following your point. Like it is a novelty thing for them to go play together, and I appreciate that. But me and Flynn are coming from. In 2 years' time, I think the league goes back to being just a novelty thing again.
You're probably right.
The approach of what they're doing is that we can see, at least we think we can see what the Saudis model is a lot more. What the end goal of the investment is. Whereas for the MLS, I'm not necessarily sure how they're going to get a return on their investment from this sort of play.
But the same way. You say that I completely agree the MLS aren't going to get a return on the investment at this stage. But I still don't see a way that Saudi get a return on the investment either. Because
they're building a league.
They can't build a starting 11.
No, I get what you're saying in terms of the long they're obviously spending a heap of money on it. So it's what is the... But I don't even think it's a 10-year plan. I think it's a 50-year plan where in 50 years' time they still have 2 or 3 teams in the European Super League.
Ronaldo even said it's competing.
And they're getting Man City revenues, they're getting PSG revenues. I think that's the long-term goal. I think it is. I'm not sure.
You've got to set the foundations.
I can't imagine the Saudis are okay, we're just going to keep spending money on a league. I just can't see that playing out because that is so unsustainable. And even Saudi Arabia with all their oil money can't afford that. But they can afford to have 1 or 2 massive players in a European tournament.
I feel like they're setting up is just they're going a step further than the MLS did back when they did, right? They're getting 3 or 4 great players on every team. So you've got the marketable...
They're getting even more now, isn't it?
Firmino, Mahrez...
Ronaldo's team, Al Nassr, they've got...
Brozovic,
Ronaldo, Fofana...
Ziyech.
Jota.
Yeah, what's his name? The goalkeeper, Ospina.
Is Jota there or is he
Jota's there.
No, Jota's with Benzema. He's with Benzema, Kante, and
but they've got someone else, Al Nassr.
No, but who's the bloody coach? Nuno.
Oh no, yes, that's the thing. You got 3 or 4 players in every team, so you got a poster of every single team. It almost
Mendy's gone to. He's gone to
Al Hilal.
No, Mendy's gone to France. He's gone to Lorient.
Tellez is
at Al Nassr as well. The keeper.
Tellez is at Al Nassr.
Mendy's isn't it the green shirt one?
I know that's where Henderson. That's Henderson's team.
I forget.
But I feel though, you've got 3 or 4 teams, right? Yeah. And each year, I think they almost say, "Here, this team, you get the money this year." And but they've done it so quickly, right? The MLS could follow it. They could. But I think the amount of money they're putting in each team, they grow each team. Each team got their 3 or 4 players. That's enough there to bring eyes, but also enough to help the young, like you were saying, that younger generation sort of push through. Because each league has to start somewhere, right? You have to have some stinky sort of players in there as well. But over time, if you just slowly breed in 3 or 4 more superstars each year, you got 12 by 5 years' time.
Yeah.
And if the guys they're buying, they're not old. Other than Ronaldo, they're 30-year-olds.
Yeah,
you've got at least 4 years.
To be fair to them, they're buying players who some of them are still in their prime.
Yeah.
Which is obviously they're paying peak price for, but I just tend to think that the long term goal is not to maintain a full league. That's way too unsustainable. Yeah. Potentially just to or if it is to maintain a full league, it's like, okay, do how the big leagues are going to work. Is that like, the Arsenals, the Cities, Chelsea, United, they all they play in their league and then go play Super League midweek.
Yeah.
I feel like that might have been the direction of the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how it all falls together. But like we were talking about this. You guys were skeptical. Well, I think we were all pretty skeptical about the Saudi League 4 weeks ago. But now in the space of 4 weeks, it's all changed, right? So maybe MLS follows.
I think they're still skeptical though.
I think we're skeptical long term, but they've doubled down on their approach at the moment.
Yeah.
And they're going all out to sign.
Yeah, well, probably more signings are going to come still as well. Like,
yeah,
the likes of maybe like Fred.
Yeah, looks like, could shift across as well. It's those players that they just snatch from Europe. Like Ronaldo was saying, they just keep taking European talent away from Europe. So it'll be interesting to see how it ends up. I guess moving back to England.
Oh, I heard Nicolas Pepe, sorry, he's also linked to...
Gone across as well?
Yeah, it sounds like he's gone.
I'm serious.
Oh, St. Max.
Yeah, we'll touch on that a little bit because that's an interesting sort of move because...
So
they did get Harvey Barnes now, so why were they going to keep...
We'll talk about it now then. Like Newcastle getting Harvey Barnes in, St. Maximin out. Do you reckon that's really an upgrade?
Do you know how much they paid for Harvey Barnes?
I think it's in the 30 to 40.
No, I don't think it was that much. I thought it was 25 to 30 maybe.
But St. Max is going for 30 million
that's
to
Sound. That's a very good deal. I mean, with the St. Max Harvey Barnes thing, I think it comes down to like St. Max isn't a Eddie Howe player.
Yeah.
Like, coaches like to sort of we see all the time like coaches like to sort of like regardless of how good the players they have when they come there are, they sort of like to imprint their own footprint on the club. So which typically involves getting rid of players who can play a role but maybe just don't suit their team quite as much. I mean, every time I see St. Max play, I'm always scared.
He's amazing.
Always looks like a threat.
Yeah.
So skillful.
He looks like a threat, but I think if you look at his returns on a game compared to Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, but you look at...
But he's not a goal assist guy. He's a guy.
Are you saying like obviously less returns than Harvey Barnes?
Yeah.
But I mean, look at Jack Grealish. Like Jack Grealish isn't a high return player. Jack Grealish is is a byline.
But I think
player.
it's a bit different at this stage at a city where you don't.
You have other players producing output.
Yeah, like you've got De Bruyne, Haaland, whoever's playing on the right, Foden, whoever's doing
goal
it.
scorer.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Mahrez was a
sometimes Grealish doesn't need to, whereas when you're in the team at Newcastle at the moment, Newcastle are at City.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, so I think you're right in this. That they have identified a player who's going to
wasn't
produce
even
more
starting.
Output. Huh?
He wasn't even starting.
I think the problem for him was
injuries.
I think that's the biggest for me. I see that as the biggest. Harvey Barnes is a guy who go out every match day and play.
Pays a lot.
Whereas St. Max is a guy that he got injured a lot. It was at the start of the year. The first 3 games he had very, very well. Got injured at Wolves, and there was a long period out there where he doesn't play. And it's happened last 3 or 4 seasons where he misses a month or so. Yeah. So but I think to back up that goal and assist stuff, he's not really the stat sort of guy.
Yeah,
he's a guy that almost had the aura to get in the positions and set things up. But
what I'd say St. Max does as well is he can drive really well, but because of his presence and there always feels like he's gonna produce something, not necessarily a goal or assist, but as in create a passage of play.
Set something up.
He draws players and he scares defenses. So I think St. Max is a really, really good player. I think he's a great threat in any team. But I just think necessarily maybe a Newcastle's team where they're looking for a bit more output.
Structure, output.
Harvey Barnes probably looks like a better proposition for them.
Yeah.
More direct. Will work on the left really well. I think Newcastle are building a good front 4 or 5.
Yeah, there's some
depth.
There's depth at the front. And I guess
I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Callum Wilson and Isaac.
I'm saying, how's the output going to work now? Because you talk about output with Harvey Barnes and you got Almiron up there as well.
Yeah, Almiron was in amazing form at one point last year.
How do they all line up?
They've still got Murphy. He was honestly not in bad form. He was
playing very well.
And still heavily linked with Chiesa.
It still has.
Obviously signed Tonali now. Man, the league is looking to be really competitive next year.
Yeah.
I guess the only one which I feel like hasn't improved quite as much yet is probably Spurs.
Yeah.
Obviously got a new manager in, but
it's take time.
They haven't made any substantial signs.
Yeah. I think Kane's leaving.
Yeah, Kane sounds like he's leaving.
It's watching them was grim. Yeah.
But other than that, Arsenal have definitely improved. Chelsea have definitely improved.
Chelsea look like a proper
definitely
team.
Improving. Yeah. United are a bit iffy.
You say that. United are iffy, and I'm still annoyed by the way United have dealt with their transfers like they do every year under the Glazers. Yeah. But I think they've salvaged something since we've last talked. Since we last on the podcast.
Yeah, well, you signed a keeper. And
that's it.
You've signed another price keeper. And
But like,
and Højlund's and very close.
I think is Højlund even that good, man? Like, he's good, but he scored like 10 goals in Italy last year.
I don't know. At international level, he's been good as well.
I think it's a lot of pressure. It's gonna be a bit of. I think it's gonna be a bit of a Darwin Núñez.
I also didn't know he was 26 or 27. He's old.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's
Højlund's 26 or 27.
Yeah, he's old.
Man. Let me stat check while you have a chat.
Nah,
I don't. I'm pretty sure I'm right. I could be completely wrong now.
He's like 22.
He's 20.
No.
Yeah, what are you on about? There was no way United. This guy's come out of nowhere.
This is what I'm saying. I was so confused. I was like, "There's no way this guy's 27." Oh my god,
yeah.
You're telling me this guy's born 2003?
It's crazy though. I feel like a lot of pressure on one guy.
Yeah, so you can't say that's a bad signing.
Twitter was telling me he was 27. I was like, okay.
But when you think about it, like to put the line, because basically the front line now for Manchester United is going to be him if they sign him. Because it's going to all...
Yeah, but I think that they're not going to... I don't think they're going to put complete pressure on him. Like, if Martial's fit, they'll still not play Martial, but I don't think he's going to be there, having to score goals from day dot. Don't get me wrong, it's expected, but I don't think it's going to be like...
How much are you going to buy him for? 55?
Nah, I think it's 48, 50.
Okay.
It's looking around that sort of mark there. It's better, but the transfer... I guess prices from United, they're obviously still extraordinarily overpriced.
Yeah.
But I think Onana is a progression, right? Instead of paying 60 million for him, like you would in the past, you paid 40 mil.
It was expensive.
He's a 25 million
player. But it's a signing that number one. It was Ten Hag's, man.
I just feel like I keep bringing him up, but David Raya just feels like
it's a joke.
He was priced properly. Every time I see him play, he's so good. He's good with his feet.
It doesn't matter. You don't get it. It's Ten Hag's man. He was at Ajax. He was at Ajax with Ten Hag for 3 years.
Yeah, I don't get it. Ten Hag loves to overplay for Ajax players. He spent 100 million Anthony. He's getting nearly zero returns. He's got a 40 mil keeper in Onana who's good. But I just don't think Onana fixes the major flaw in De Gea's game, which is his foot.
He's worse with his hands.
But he's definitely worse with his hands. And he's so mistake prone. I'm telling you, having a keeper for psychological reasons who is not mistake prone, provides so much to your back four. You're not scared to let the other team have a long shot, pop shot punt, and it's just things like that which change the dynamic of how your team sets up defensively so much.
I think though, it's. But look, don't get me wrong, he's a good keeper.
He's an improvement
it's been I think blown a bit out of proportion. He's a Champions League finalist keeper. He's great with his feet. I think the problem for United last year wasn't the defence, right? The defence was solid. It was the defence playing out from the back. You saw Brentford, the failures there.
Fixing that issue.
Yeah, I feel like it is an improvement.
Yeah, definitely it is.
It's just because De Gea is one of the best shot stoppers the Premier League seen, right? It's arguably as far as his mistakes are concerned, if you take that aside, shot stopping ability, one of the best we've seen in the Premier League. Yeah. So obviously it's always going to be a downgrade no matter what keeper. I don't care what keeper you get, other than maybe Alisson.
It's always going
to be a downgrade.
A bit stiff on De Gea as well. I know I was definitely for moving De Gea on.
I think
as an external fan. I know you were a little bit more iffy. You thought
I understand.
You thought keeper was a second keeper sort of thing, and
but the thing with me was I completely understand it because Ten Hag has brought his new philosophy, and it's all about getting the ball. And you watch Onana in the Champions League final, how he was getting balls and he was playing the striker, low-driven passes.
No, he is very good with his feet.
But saying that, for me, watching the game, it's similar to what you just said there. De Gea, even though he's made a couple mistakes, he brings that sense of security when they're attacking. I understand maybe when we've got the ball.
I just don't think we need... United need that because
you look at some of
you
these
got
double
Varane
saves.
and Martinez in front.
Yeah, but you look at some of these saves there was a few 1-0 games where yes we dominated, but we couldn't get the second goal last year. Probably down to our forwards. Down to our forwards. So we couldn't get the second goal, and then late on they go and attack us. And De Gea's pulled off. There was 3 or 4 games at least. I can remember the Everton game, West Ham. West Ham, the first one.
Yeah, West Ham was important.
There was a couple others that I can't think of off the top of my head. But
I think in the Europa League, that Barca game, De Gea was massive. But Onana's he's not an awful shot stopper. He can make saves.
Don't get me wrong.
Onana is from what I've seen, is solid enough with his hands. He just doesn't pull out worldies.
Yeah,
he's not a worldy keeper.
Yeah,
he's really. He's pretty similar to an Edison.
I say
Well, Edison, I still think is better.
One-on-one shots.
Yeah, but Edison's
it's nuts with his feet. And And Edison before he went to City was like could pull out. He's definitely dropped off with his hands since he's been in City.
He doesn't see the ball much, does it?
And when he sees it, it's like a 90th minute header, and it's pretty unfortunate for him. But he's a similar sort of like level, similar sort of type of player. Like, you know, their best attribute is their feet.
Yep.
And then they're solid enough with their hands, and then everything else that comes with that, it's like a bonus.
But yeah, you can do a job.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think if you're moving forward, you look at
No,
I think
you're
the
right.
perfect example. If you're moving forward, you don't want to be relying on we're going to need to be secure at the back, because United sort of are secure at the back now. It's about moving forward. How we get the ball forward. 27.
So you guys sign him looking at him to be your next Premier League winning keeper, right? That has to be the end goal, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to sign him and think, is this guy good enough to be in our back?
Well, he definitely is if we fix all our other problems.
Yeah. No, I actually agree. I think Onana is good enough to stick around there.
It's a right step.
And be within a Premier League winning team. I think he is.
You've got 6 years.
I don't necessarily think he'll be the one to do it. Some keepers, for example, can like Alisson in Liverpool's team would have single-handedly got them 10, 12 points
huge,
in the last every five in the last 5 seasons.
Yeah.
You know, he is so good in one-on-ones that he literally saves points. Yeah. And it's very easy to pick out points in the game when he has his impact, right? Onana, I think, will be more so definitely a build-up structure thing where you're just so much more comfortable playing the way Ten Hag wants to play that ideally, the result of him being there will allow you guys to be way more fluid up, attacking. Yeah. And the build-up.
It allows the team to progress.
I'm more skeptical in the sense that I've seen so many times last year that we dominated games and we couldn't finish our chances. Hopefully that's coming in, Mount coming in. Yeah. That solves that problem. Yeah. If that solves that problem, then Onana's all right. But
for the team to progress, you need to make these sort of changes.
I'd also say one thing Onana provides, which De Gea doesn't, in terms of being dominant, is that us, for example, with Ramsdale, we can score on transition really well. Yeah. As in, we'll score a goal every 2 or 3 games, which is purely on a transition play. Starts from Ramsdale
and moves
and bang, 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 goal. Whereas you guys might have been dominant, but I just don't feel like it was the same dominance where you've probably slowly progressed the ball up, and it's allowed them to sit back, get get a shape there, and as a result, I think you're probably missing out on one of those like a goal every 2 or 3 games from sort of that transition play.
It's a good point you mentioned that, because De Gea was sort of getting better at it, but we've got some of the quickest forwards in the league, and the amount of times Rashford can run out the back. Yeah. We've got Onana kicking to Rashford. He
can't ping that ball. Yeah, De Gea could never ping a flat ball. Yeah. He'd always put this loopy thing up.
And nothing
it might land in the right spot, but it's Rashford's got to try and flick it on.
Which it doesn't work.
It never works like that. Whereas I've seen Ramsdale do many times, pings it straight into Martinelli's lap or Saka's lap, and they're on the run. Yeah. And it's they get a 1-on-1.
And to play half-court football, basically.
Yeah. So it's... Onana is definitely an improvement on where you want to play. It's just whether, it's whether or not, United are trying to minimise their sort of perception in the window where they're always going to overpay for players and stuff like that. Yeah. If you could have gotten for 25, 30 mil, it would have looked a lot better. Yeah. But look, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. Yeah. And so I say us with Declan Rice. Declan Rice is a 100 player.
100%.
But when we think we're this close to winning a league,
you got to pull the pin.
Commit to it.
I guess the improvement, the changes seen there. So Maguire not captain, Fernandes captain now. Yeah. Mount's in.
I think that's huge.
Thank God for you guys doing that, honestly.
Yeah, it's
but you can see the little steps being made, right? I'm all for looking at the small wins.
You can't have your captain not play.
I know, but it was one thing to not do it, but Ten Hag's done it now. He's changed the captain. He's got a new midfielder in. He's got a keeper he likes. It's small steps. It might not be the right steps.
Mason Mount.
Are you happy with Bruno being captain, or do you think someone else should have been captain?
I think Bruno's.
I don't see it as a logical choice.
Bruno's a lock on the team sheet.
Yeah. He plays every game every year.
He's vocal. He's a bit of a pest, but he's a good.
Do you not think? I was definitely leaning towards Bruno, but do you not think that maybe Varane could have got it?
Varane's been there for 2 years. He's injury prone. Touch wood, but last year was alright. But
I also don't reckon Varane's identity's at United. I think it's still at Madrid.
It's a Madrid guy.
I think it's really important. People associate Bruno with Man United, right? Yeah. But people still associate Varane with with Madrid, and you know what I mean? As in, Rashford's not captain material.
No,
you have to have a United player, a player who looks feels United,
but also a leader as well.
And then a player who's going to build team sheet every week and a winner. Yeah. And I think Bruno fits the role pretty perfectly.
I reckon he's one of the better captains we've had in a long time. Like, I look at it. Like,
you had.
I don't think Rooney was really.
We
by
had
the time he was captain,
Maguire. Before Maguire, we had Ashley Young.
Didn't you?
Valencia.
And
then
Was
Rooney.
De Gea not skip at one point?
Nah.
Never.
The odd game he'd be, but like it was Valencia, Young, Rooney before that.
Yeah, actually Young. Jesus.
But if you look at our last 3 captains, none of them were actually on the park.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem.
That's the problem.
Like,
Well, Valencia would be on the park.
No, not towards the end of his captaincy.
And Mourinho was.
And Young wasn't on the
yeah,
park.
well, Bruno's a lock to be on the pitch
Yeah.
every time, and same as this Odegaard. Like City's skip is
Kevin. Yeah.
Chelsea. Oh,
Chelsea.
who's Chelsea's captain?
Aspia was.
Thiago
was that-
Silva
was that-
probably. Thiago Silva probably captain now.
But Thiago, it's low-key a weird captain to make, Thiago Silva.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, but it's only like a 1-year captain.
I think you're right though,
Yeah.
because it will be. But isn't it? But yeah, he won't be captain.
Why not give it to like Chilwell?
Because
Doesn't play.
He's always injured.
Yeah.
Who could you? And they can't give it to a keeper.
See, probably if Mount stayed, he could have maybe got
Could have the
it.
captaincy.
No,
That's a weird one. Because do you know what else it's a weird one? Because I understand why Mount...
Enzo,
I understand why Mount didn't play last year. Maybe he didn't like fit the coaches.
He was also
but
in
he'd
really
fit,
bad form.
Yeah, but he'd fit how Poch plays.
No, I agree, but it's in like he clearly just didn't want to be there anymore. You know, I definitely agree. He's like a very similar like Dele Alli player when Dele Alli was in like his prime.
Or even like an Ericsson player.
Yeah, or an Ericsson. You know, you get like a bit of attacking output, but like love to sit in that camera roll and just like sit and like sort of track a little.
So
bit.
it doesn't make like as Mount.
But-
Does he start?
I don't.
Match week 1.
I don't get it for a United signing.
I think he starts now.
I think he does, but what is he going to start as the 8?
What do you? How's it?
I think Bruno plays deeper. I think Bruno's going to play deeper.
Nah, you don't drop Bruno deeper though.
I think that's the one because you talk
Bruno's
about
output's
you
too
talk
good
about
at
hitting
10.
you
But
talk about
Mount's
hitting
not
long
good enough
balls.
at an 8.
You talk about hitting long balls. Bruno can spray balls from. I know he doesn't always successful, but from deeper rolls.
Yeah, but do you
his
reckon
pass
Mount has
ability-
Bruno's output at 10?
Who was in Ajax's midfield?
Donny
Dion.
and who was next to Dion? Or Donny was next to Dion. Who was at 10? Tadic?
Yeah, Tadic.
Who sent Tadic sit in the
To
10?
be honest, Dion would have been
he's
Dion Casemiro. Like Bruno would have been a very nice midfield.
I still think they can work him out in there as a 10. I feel like you're not going to.
Do you reckon Donny's time's up, or if he can stay fit, he could like
Van de Beek.
yeah.
Nah, Donny's.
I think it's a squad rotation. He's not going to be able to leave. I don't think
Donny's still at
I
bloody
don't
United.
think he wants to leave.
Yeah, I think
Was
Donny.
he on loan?
Donny will.
Did his knee last
You
year.
know, Ten Hag will keep Donny before
What
he
a
keeps
poor
Fred
guy.
McTominay.
100%.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, Donny was in the bloody
His Ballon d'Or.
top 30.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He's been an injury. Like
Yeah, well, he also couldn't.
Wasn't picked
he
and
also
injured.
couldn't get a game when
Yeah.
Ole was there.
yeah, but I reckon under Ten Hag, he'll be our first like
What's
midfield
on
sub.
a week, Donny?
Oh no, Ericsson played
Donny get
before
paid
him.
well?
Decent amount, yeah. Because he came with the Ole era where literally everyone was overpaid. We'll move on. We're going to talk about United.
To be honest,
now.
we got him for pretty cheap though.
I think he said 30 million.
Yeah, it's pretty good since he just finished in the Ballon d'Or top 25.
We'll move to Liverpool. Because I'm interested in this. I'm big on Liverpool this year. A big improvement. Basically, a whole new midfield 3 it looks like. So Szoboszlai's already there. McAllister, but also Verratti rumoured.
Does he play that deep though?
No, he's a 10.
There's 10.
Yeah, but it's in like. Yeah, so who else they got? They got
McAllister.
And it's looking like Verratti's if both Henderson and
But I don't reckon
Fabinho
neither
move
of
off.
them hold.
Yeah, it's a weird.
Verratti can sit in, but he's not going to.
They're not playing. They're not going to play Pirlo football where Pirlo used to sit and take it off the 10 and go bang, 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 bang.
Similar players.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's the new way Liverpool are going to play now. Is it going to be a bit like that? Because
but in club teams, you've always had
that deep holder.
Like that DM.
Yeah, like-
Fabinho when they were really good.
Yeah.
Fabinho playing there, and then
They're
In
not
the
gonna
early
have
days,
they don't play.
Emre used to sit there.
Dortmund, they had
Do they have a
they had
Dortmund?
Axel Witsel playing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense to me. I'll tell you why it doesn't make sense because they're not going to sit there with Verratti and McAllister and whatever his name is, Shibalowski.
It lacks
Like 1-2.
Well, it lacks physicality, 100%. There's no physicality in that
See,
midfield.
that doesn't work for Salah either.
What I guess it does do though is that Verratti and McAllister are both like really good ball playing.
That's what I'm saying.
They can carry the ball
So
a
it's in
bit.
like in terms of trying to play like balls like through the channels. You got Salah on the right, quick. You got
Darwin.
whoever's on the left, whoever's on the middle, they're all going to be quick.
What do you reckon of
And they're all
Darwin
going to
on the
be
left?
playing through at the back.
Yeah.
It looks like that, yeah.
I guess you can probably get a few goals out of that.
Yeah.
But
I think the style of gameplay is going to change, right? It's not going to be the fullbacks like carrying the ball up. It's going to be the midfielders carrying the ball now. Because
And one of the fullbacks tuck in or something.
Jordan Henderson's not a ball carrying player. Fabinho
Yeah, maybe he's right.
The
In
only
the
problem
sense,
with that though is I feel like you're not getting the best out of your fullbacks.
100%.
Like-
But maybe that's the evolution of Liverpool. Maybe that's the way
Yeah.
they're going.
But as in like your as in their team historically, Robbo and
fullback
Trent have been
bombing down with the ball.
so influential in that team. Now you're getting but they've always been like pretty liable defensively.
Yeah,
That's always
yeah,
been like
yeah.
their drawback.
Yeah.
If you're not going to have them bombing on, and you're gonna have pretty like progressive minded deeper midfielders, then I feel like that exposes a lot defensively.
do you think Robbo's I was thinking maybe they might go down the line of maybe, I don't know.
Wasn't there like three at the back?
Yeah, maybe, that's what I was saying. So playing not playing a three back, playing like the left back as a centre back.
Yeah.
And then when you're attacking, doing something similar to what I was saying with Arsenal, where Trent then drops in, whereas like I was saying Zinchenko would.
I think
You know what I'm saying?
it has a spot, right? It has a role. I just think
But even
Liverpool are
Trent-
changing their way.
Trent
they're playing.
guarding the back three isn't really like, you know what I mean?
I don't know. I just think
Checking their scratch friendlies.
I just think for them it's something different, right? Because it puts less pressure on the wingers and the fullbacks to produce because you got midfielders who carry the ball.
Yeah, second half. Just looking at their
What do you reckon of Nunes? Because there's no way Nunes is a left winger. That guy's got to be their number 9.
So look, this is their most recent lineup in their friendlies. So they had Kelleher in keeper, Bradley, who I've never heard of.
Probably some
but everyone plays young
But
players.
listen, so they got Bradley, Canate, Van Dijk, Robbo, and TAA. So that's, I'm assuming, 5 defenders.
These guys are
So, you never name your first player, and he's not
a right back,
centre back or a right back or left back. You know what I mean? Bradley, Canate, Van Dijk.
Then they've only got 2 midfielders.
And Robbo, Trent.
Oh, actually. How do you know Trent's not playing midfield?
I didn't watch the game, so unless Trent was playing mid, I don't know.
But that can happen. They rotate those 3 mids and they put like a Trent in there.
I mean, Trent did look very good playing midfield last year. And I thought you were getting the best out of him in terms of he wasn't so defensively liable because he could play as like an 8.
Yeah.
And then he got the best out of his long balls. But they're signing Verratti and they're going to play McAllister. I mean, it feels like sort of 3 very similar dynamics of players. But
I think for me, I understand the defensive part, but also the physicality. I think it's going to be a problem if you have those 3.
Definitely.
Especially in the Premier League.
Up against the other midfielders like Rice and Partey or Rodri and whoever's next.
Even Newcastle, Tonali.
Newcastle's big.
Even like United to a sense. Like Bruno's pretty aggressive. Casemiro.
Yeah. So, obviously, that's where you lack that physicality as well.
I'm more skeptical on Nunes because it looks like they've drawn away from playing him up top and playing him on the left.
If it works, it works.
I take the Mickey out of Anthony a lot, but Jesus Christ, I mean, spending $100 million on Nunes and he's like borderline not getting in the team is.
I think everyone's a bit too skeptical on Anthony.
I think Nunes. I just
think all these guys get off way too way too free of any criticism. No, they get criticism, but I mean, bro, Nicolas Pepe used to get abused.
But I don't agree with it because it's not their fault that they're 100 mil.
No, but he was 70 mil and was not that bad, and was getting
but
left, right, centre.
Anthony, if you watch their games, he actually, if you compare it to like a Sancho, he actually provided a lot. He might not have. He still had 5 Premier League goals. I know that's terrible, but he actually provided. But he didn't play that much as well. He was injured a little bit.
Look, but he probably still started.
He was a bit like a Saint
Max. He probably still started 20 times.
He's still he's a little bit like a Saint Max. He always looks dangerous when he has the ball.
No, look, one thing I agree with you. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
But you don't think he looks dangerous still when he gets the ball compared to like a Sancho?
Not really. I think he's so left-footed that it's so easy to read. You just cut inside, tries to whip it top right, but. I don't know. I think it's pretty predictable.
I think Nunes is due for a big turn. I think Nunes
is going to be nuts if they play him up top.
Yeah, I feel like a big season.
His XG. I mean, look, I know it's a stat, but his XG last year was so high. It was like
ridiculous.
He underperformed by like 5 or 6 goals, which is nuts. Like
if you get those 5 or 6 goals, that changes the season.
Every good player overperforms their XG, and look, I think maybe that's a sign that he's just not that good. But I think that's a pretty irrational view. This guy's playing in the best league in the world.
Yeah,
he's young, he's adapting, and he was getting good positions. If he finishes half the times better than he did last year, he'll score 5 or 6 more goals.
I have a question though. So we're comparing to like a Nunes. Let's compare it to like a Højlund. Why do you think Like
I haven't seen
Nunez is so
like
much. Even I think he scored 10 Serie A goals. He had 18 goals in all comps last year.
But it just takes away from the point. Like Nunez had a year where everyone's gone at him, right? I'm just thinking this year's gonna be nuts because he's gonna have. Firstly, midfielders we just talked about. They can play. They can ball carry. They can deliver him.
Pre-season as a whole squad too.
You've got some of the best wingers in the world. Like Mo Salah's arguably the best winger in the world. And you got Diaz or Jota or Gakpo, where they can all interchangeable. I feel like it's gonna work. I feel like it has to work. It can't not work.
I don't think they'll make the top 4.
We're talking about how attacking with long balls.
They won't make the top 4.
I think there's so many goals. I don't know how many I can see.
I'm not big on Liverpool at all. I agree with you. But
I don't think Chelsea will either.
I can see. No, I think Chelsea are going to be really good. But I can see why people think
there's just going to be goals galore in this Liverpool team.
I disagree. I think there's too much Chelsea that they haven't done, but they're going to be so far behind again at the start.
Chelsea?
I don't know. I just think that
I think this top 4 will be the exact same.
I think if Reece James and Chilwell can stay fit, which is a big if,
at least 70% of the games,
if they can play 30 games or like
I give 25 games, win off.
I think they'll win 20 of those 25 games because that's how good.
This is my opinion. I think Newcastle are going to get closer to Arsenal and City, and I think United will be just at the top of like the Chelsea, Liverpool.
I honestly think we're going to kick away this year and we're going to win the league.
I think you'll win the league as well.
Yeah.
But I said it'll be a close top 3. It'll be like 10 points between you.
I honestly think we can win the league by like 10 or 15 points. I think City. I just think City's drop off is going to be. I think no one's expecting because it's been City, but every giant falls, right?
Eventually,
they've achieved everything last year.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They're still going to get at minimum 80 points, 85 points.
I would be surprised if we get 95 points. I can't see us losing many games.
I can because it's even though you're a lot better team.
Our
United
team is so much better now.
Listen, even though you're a lot better team than United, Liverpool, Chelsea, even Tottenham, Newcastle, there's 6 teams there who on their day
can take
points off you. If not more, even Villa and Brighton can take points off you.
Last year was the same though. Everyone on their day could have taken points. Everyone had good games.
Last year was a good season. Like,
everyone had days where they were unbeatable. Like, Newcastle beat Spurs. They were beating Spurs 5-0. Spurs weren't bad, but they weren't that bad.
Yeah,
right? Liverpool won games.
I just think
United were unplayable occasionally. Everyone was good.
I agree with you to a certain degree.
But we still won those games.
Nah, that game at the end had United really should have took points off you.
We dropped our games. We dropped our points against lesser teams.
At the Emirates, sorry.
When we were like, when our squad depth wasn't good enough.
And the brain that
we were too young, and we hadn't been in that position before. We drew to Southampton, drew to West Ham.
That's the biggest one.
Drew to Liverpool, lost everything.
You look at the signings that like Villa has done. They brought in Diaby now and Pau Torres.
Yeah, look, don't get me wrong. These teams are strengthening well, but I've seen many times teams mid-table strengthen and get worse. Like,
it happens. Like Wolves did it.
Villa did it under Gerrard, and they got way worse. Like, Villa had a good team, got worse. Brighton definitely overperformed last year. Whether they can do the same thing again this year, will be, time will tell.
I just think you're very skeptical. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Arsenal will win the league, but the fact you reckon they're going to win,
well, that's a pretty big call, regardless. You think we're going to win the league? I mean, I don't think there's much to argue.
This is going to be a traditional early 2000s league where you win the league with like 83 points.
I think we get 95 points. Bro, we got.
What do you reckon?
Did we not get like 90 points last year?
Doesn't matter.
I'm skeptical in the whole. I still think City are going to be strong.
Do you think they're going to be a 90-point team?
We got 85 last year.
But I don't think it's about as much about Arsenal. I still think Arsenal will be really, really strong, and they're going to look at the team. But I still think City are going to be up there because they're going to fall out of cup competition, I think. But you got Gvardiol joining, Kovacic joining.
Yeah, Gvardiol's a nuts.
I think their midfield and their defense is so strong.
So we got 84 points last year, and I think we should.
That will win you the league next year.
And I think we should have easily got 90 points last year.
That will win you the league next year, 84 points.
I think though Man City is going to be strong. Man, I understand the whole.
I'm happy to make that call now. 85 points wins you the league next year.
I just don't think it'll be 2 horse race again, and it's going to go.
I don't think you're necessarily wrong with the winning points being less, but I just think maybe I'm being so biased right now, but I honestly think the only thing which might retract from this is us being in the Champions League.
Yeah,
considering it's our first year
focus
in the league,
on it,
and, we haven't been in that scenario for a long, long time. And depending upon whether we're going to push on to that league or not, I don't really know.
Yeah.
But I think that the only thing which will retract from us, pushing on the league is that because we're trying to, draw our squad length to like its maximum. But if we if we take a pretty Premier League approach, which I think we probably will, I see the middle guys, somewhat connecting for sure. Like, so like the other Big Six teams somewhat like, drawing closer together and the gap getting less.
I reckon the gaps on the top though is going to be huge.
But yeah, I just reckon we're going to kick on. I think City probably kick on as well again.
I reckon it's a 2-horse race again, but it's going to be a high point. It's going to be the 90 point. It'll be like a Liverpool City of like 3-4 years ago. I think it's going to be like a 90 point title where there's a big gap between like the Newcastle or the Liverpool or the Chelsea.
I disagree completely. I reckon between like first and sixth will be 15 points, 10 points.
15 points, a lot of points.
That'd be but to be fair, first and sixth.
Sixth. Oh, these are first and fifth. Okay. Because the top five, we basically know what it is going to be, right? We know that.
First and sixth, would be crazy if it was only 15 points. That hasn't happened in so long. Last year, between first and third was 15 points.
So you reckon it's going to be like 2 or 3 points in all teams, basically, all the way down?
Nah, I think there will be a little bit of a gap at some point, but I think it'll be like...
But where are you drawing that line? Because for me, I'm drawing at Arsenal City. Where are you drawing that line?
So I reckon it'll be like Arsenal 85.
Yeah.
City like 81.
Yeah.
Newcastle like 78.
Right, lead the predictions.
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll come to them properly. Where's
and then there'll be a little bit of gap
so
there.
you're drawing the line in Newcastle.
Then there'll be a gap to like 71. Then there'll be a gap to like 71, and there'll be a couple teams between like 71 and 69.
So you're drawing a Newcastle. Where are you going to draw where's that line that that separates
points or clubs?
The clubs. Like, so I've got you two, like Arsenal and City.
I think it's just us two.
Yeah, So I just don't think anyone's near that level. Just look at the midfield. Just look at the midfields of both teams.
Still, Newcastle, I'm still predicting to be about 6-7 points off first.
Yeah, but I just think...
I don't see Newcastle.
I think anyone touches these guys, I reckon they're 10 points clear.
Third or fourth last year?
Fourth.
Do you think they'll drop? Okay, that's another thing.
Yeah,
I've got two things.
I've
got two things with Newcastle. The number one is they challenge the league. I don't think Newcastle will make the top four without challenging the league. They either challenge the league or they finish up 8th.
That's going to happen because they're going to focus on a cup competition on the way. They want a trophy.
When does the 5th Champions League spot come into the Prem? Is it next year?
In the year after next.
It's not.
I think it's a year after next.
But like 24, 25.
I don't think it makes much of a difference because like literally now one English team wins one of the European competitions anyway. So like it's always enough teams that are in it. But it'd be interesting though because you're right. The squads are getting stronger.
Yeah.
But, seriously, you look at Arsenal and you look at City's midfield and I'm like, that's like eye-watering stuff. Like putting Kovacic in that midfield with City. I know Gundogan's left, but like tucking him there as well.
So much depth.
Guardiola's going in the back line where that back line's formidable. You got to keep it to a back.
Surely they sell someone though.
Will Guardiola even start?
Well, does John Stones now sit where Gundogan was? Like
yeah, they were playing a little bit more progressive, but I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, but then they got to push Rodri.
Their centre-back depth is nuts.
Or one or the other.
I don't know.
Laporte, Stones, Diaz.
Yeah, Pep's liable to do anything though. Pep's very liable
You could John Stones up front for all.
There's some weird shit that Pep could do.
Like, he's a mastermind for
Pep could play a 3-back with 2 wing backs who aren't wing backs, who are like actual wingers, and just play 3.
But they're still linked to that Spanish left back. I always forget his name. But
and if we're talking about centre backs as well, like Ake's a centre back, Akanji's a centre. These guys are all centre backs.
All centre backs that play. Yeah.
No, I already said that. Yeah, they've got like 6 centre backs. They've got.
There's someone else we're missing as well.
Laporte, Diaz, Stones,
they've got 6 centre backs who probably would all go with Danny
Kyle
Kane.
Walker is probably the only fullback that's
he's on the out though, isn't he? He's signed.
And they got Rico Lewis too.
Rico Lewis will play now.
Yeah.
But they've got 6 centre backs who would probably start at any team.
Same with Cancelo.
Cancelo and Walker, I'm pretty sure both on the out, but I don't know who wants to pay the amount they want for them.
Walker, I heard Saudi for Walker.
They want a lot for Cancelo.
I think Cancelo's 65 plus, isn't it?
Yeah, but who's going to do that apart from PSG? And I don't think PSG will.
They don't want him.
PSG look like they're going against that little bit of that strategy where they're spending 150 million. Like, if you see their signing, they've done a lot of like $30-40 million signings.
Lost a lot of money in recent years.
Yeah, and now there'll be no eyes there if Mbappe leaves next year and Messi's already gone.
Yeah, well, right. So did Mbappe sign a 1-year extension?
No,
he's just playing the season that's going to run out.
But like they've been they cannot let him go for free.
I think because he has so much power at the club, he just does what he wants.
Yeah, I thought they made him sign.
Knowing him, he'll sign a 1-year extension in January.
They'll sign a 1 year and then
let him go.
Yeah,
and then he'll.
I still can't believe though they didn't accept that $180 million bid from Real back in January
last year, wasn't it?
No, 18 months
18 months
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
That's nice.
$180 million bid from Real. They didn't accept it.
Because they've been trying to win this Champions League so bad. Like
They just can't do it. They can't do it.
it's crazy.
You watch they'll win it without any of these guys. I reckon when's Neymar and Mbappe leave? I reckon
Well, Neymar's going to leave, isn't he?
They'll win it somehow because that's just the
I'm
way
just
it's
wondering
been.
where Neymar's going to go.
I don't know what's happening with Neymar, but he's been like that.
Yeah, where would he go?
There's been a lot of talk around.
Neymar's
I've heard
got
talks of
Saudi
Neymar
people
going to
there.
Liverpool at one point.
Liverpool
No one can afford him.
Yeah, it's too much.
Once again, there's like 4 or 5 clubs that can afford him.
And he comes with baggage as well.
He comes with so much baggage.
No one
Well, he doesn't play in March.
Yeah, I was about to say he can't play in March because this is what he.
It's like every time he even gets injured, like he was injured last year
So
properly.
funny. It's so funny.
properly last year, but you're still skeptical. Like,
was
is
still in line
he
with
injured?
It's funny, as if that happens.
I'll touch on Tottenham and West Ham. Went to the game the other night. Decent game. Like, some decent players. So
crowd.
Harry Kane, 48,000 were there. Harry Kane ended up playing as well. Madison played. Solomon played as well. It was interesting to watch. But yeah, Tottenham. I know it's a friendly, but the whole new system is going to take a while to adapt because they were trying to play at the back. 2 goals. The first half goals that West Ham scored both led from goalkeeper errors. So Vicario, the new keeper, kicked the ball out, corner kick, ball in. Danny Ings scores.
He's Italian.
Italian. He came from Juventus, I'm pretty sure. Backup keeper Juventus. They signed him.
But he's not going to be their first keeper.
Well, for the time being, because they haven't signed Raya yet.
I
But
thought they were like pretty close to getting David Raya.
Yeah, but it's not quiet. The last time we were talking, it was really close. And now for 3 weeks, it's
I feel I'm watching it. They're a long way off because I think Postecoglou wants to play with the ball. Like you try to copy everyone else. It seems it hasn't worked with the 4 at the back. They put Davies as centre back in the second half.
Sanchez trying to play at the back.
Yeah, like it's they're trying. You see what they're trying, but Oliver Skip was turning the ball over from.
yeah. They
deep
got to
midfield.
start, but
Honestly,
you know what? I disagree with what I said initially with the midfield. You got to start at the back.
It was apparent none of them at the back could play the ball with their feet.
Yeah, this is really reminiscent of when Arteta took over.
Tried it,
Class.
yeah.
Like, geez, our team sucked. We couldn't do it at all.
Yeah, like West Ham, like they won 3-2, but the second
Romero
half.
probably can. That's about it.
But Romero looked awful on the ball
Bro,
as well.
they don't have fullbacks either. They got wing backs.
Yeah.
Nah,
like
Pedro
really
Porro.
Regulon played it right.
Right.
Pedro Porro didn't
Pedro
play, but
Porro is going to play right wing.
yeah, they're going to
What
put.
about Kulusevski?
No, but I'm saying like Pedro Porro is that progressive that like he'll play a fullback, but he's not defensive at all. He used to get so high in that 3-back. Like he
wasn't overlapping winger basically. He was a second winger. When
Yeah.
he was
so
flat.
high.
What about
Regulon played well.
Looked really
Regulon
good.
played really well.
He looked like he's going to be used.
Regulon's still there.
The left-hand side
He
was
was on
strong.
right. He's come back.
So they
Where
had
was he on loan?
they had Solomon and Regulon on the left side,
one of
and
those
they were
Spanish
good.
teams.
They were really good. But I think the rest of the team is a long way off.
Yeah,
it.
Madison looked good though.
Did Højbjerg play?
Hoiberg played second half. He played with a lot of rubbish players. But the second half they had more of the ball. I told them dominate second half.
Yeah, I heard they had like 28 shots.
Yeah, so
Like
they
70%
they were peppering in the second half. But again, it was a lot of like edge of the box stuff. And West Ham was sitting well in. It looked a bit of a Premier League game second half because West Ham sat in with some B-list sort of centre backs and the like. But that was interesting. The first half when both teams had a good starting 11, Tottenham looked well off it.
Yeah.
And I think, like we were saying, Postecoglou's need to get some wins early on.
He needs to get rid of Kane to get the
Yeah,
money.
I 100% agree.
To get the money to go sign 2 defenders and a midfielder.
I think it's gonna have to happen.
Kane's
Right?
got to go.
And he's got to get like 80 for Kane and then go spend 150 on 3 players. Would you agree with that?
I'd back that. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
They clearly have no money though. Buddy, Levy's being so stingy.
There's
Yeah,
no rumours
but-
at all. After Madison's, there's been nothing.
There's
Radio
nothing.
signs.
They need to go sign.
Madison's a good signing though. Like Madison,
See,
is what they need.
This is what I don't get. Someone like a Pau Torres for them would have been an excellent signing.
But is the Emery thing like
They
they
didn't
had
sort
the
out
connection?
Keeper. They didn't
With,
sort out the keeper so bad.
yeah, Ryan is
So
coming
you get
now.
David Ryan for 25,
And
20.
you need a centre back, and you
Then
probably
you
need.
could have got, see, this is what I mean. You could have got Torres for 30.
Yeah.
Like,
And he's a good ball playing.
That'd being a perfect fit. He's a
Centre
good
back.
ball player, and he's a
And I
quality
reckon he'd
defender.
worked well with Romero as well for now. Romero's going to end
You
up.
have to keep him there for now because otherwise you've got no other centre back
You've got
next
it.
to him.
Who remember?
Romero's one of those signings, a bit like De Gea with Ted Hag. You keep him at the
You have to
start,
keep
but
him.
at the end,
I'm just trying to think like Premier League centre backs they could go and get like, for a bargain, but there's not many.
There's not many
you
there.
got to go to other leagues.
Yeah, I know you have to. But I was just trying to think like who's already in the Prem. But there's
There's not enough that we're going to fit this system we're going to play.
If they wanted, they're always
See, I would have chucked the kitchen sinker like a timber.
That would have been smart.
Timber would have made sense, but
And he could pay us all.
For 50
their,
mil.
their investment at the moment is so strange.
Like,
Spurs.
I reckon Timber would have went as well over
you-
Arsenal to start.
do you reckon-
Because is he a
Yeah,
guaranteed
we got
starter?
him for 30 mil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Do you reckon? Ange has an idea yet of what he wants? Because he says he wants to keep Kane. Do you reckon he actually
No,
does not
of
do that?
course
That
he's going to say that. Of
but,
course
like-
he's going to say he wants to keep Kane. He's not going to tell him he wants to leave.
Yeah, but he's not going to say he
oh.
wants to leave because just in case they don't get a deal for him.
What else?
Yeah.
What else
They're
but
in
do you
the
reckon he
bar.
has a plan if they don't get a deal for him? Do you reckon there is a plan?
He'll play him.
Yeah, he'll
Kane's
play.
obviously still an amazing asset to have. Like, you know, Kane will obviously still score goals,
Yeah.
like 21 goals a season. But I think if you asked Ange, like, you know, in a private conversation, he'd be like, okay, I'd rather get 100 million and spend it elsewhere.
But if he says, what do you reckon the plan is? Is just keep the team and just
It'll be like
tough it out?
Kulusevski, Richarlison, Sam, which is a well and truly.
No, I'm saying if they keep you, I'm saying what's the plan?
I don't know.
What goes on
right,
there?
because they have too much money loaded up top. They've got Charleston on the bench.
And they're going to have 10 players that
I think they'll eventually just accept that the $80 bid, 80 mil bid if they don't get a better bid by coming close. I think it's going to be one of those ones where like...
You can't keep it too late though because I need to get people through the door.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the Prem's are like a month away. Like it's coming
Yeah,
quicker than
Prem
you
is
think.
so nice.
Is
Yeah.
it like
Prem is
10th
less than
August?
a month.
It's something like that. It's
3
very
weeks?
close. Yeah.
Probably 3 weekends.
So then they're going to need people
2
through the door.
maybe.
No, I thought it was that.
I think it's 3 weekends away. away.
It's close.
I reckon it...
Late August, I'm sure.
The soccer season is so long. Like,
Yeah. Pre-seasons of like...
These
well,
guys-
literally,
Nah, it's 2 weekends.
They legit get a month off.
it's that. And internationals are like 1 week
I
into
swear it
that
starts
off-season.
like the 8th.
I'll check it now.
Yeah, 2 weeks. No, it doesn't because the 8th is a Tuesday.
I'm sure it's the 20,
Yeah,
20 something.
It would be then later.
It'd be like, they start on the Friday.
Maybe
night.
it started early last
They
year
start on the
because of
Friday
the
night.
World Cup.
No, you're right. 12th of August.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
is the Friday night.
Yeah. That's a lot.
So that's 3 weeks
Friday.
today.
3 weekends, yeah. It's
And
interesting. though.
United started... Oh, no, that's Monday. They're Monday.
I think
We
the-
play
I think
Saturday.
us-
We play Saturday night.
You guys got the nice Saturday night fixture, haven't you?
Oh, that's actually good with United as well. Now
7
saying
p.m.
that we get to because the Champions League is so
I know,
good
we're
because
Saturdays.
now we're Saturdays. Come on,
And you're not staying up to like 4 a.m. on a
I hate
Monday
Sunday
morning
games,
to watch.
and we hopefully get the early kickoff on Saturday as well.
Normally.
We got all those last year, to be fair. So when it wasn't like because when we got knocked out of Europa, we got so lucky.
Yeah.
We got everybody Saturday 7 p.m. So good.
We'll touch on a few more transfers before we finish up. You mentioned Diaby joining Villa. Again, another team. I'm always interested in these sort of teams. So they got Tielemans now, Torres, Diaby, to add to Douglas Luiz midfield as
The
well.
Villa signed Tielemans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
How did I
early
miss
on.
this?
This was very early on. This is
This
like
was early.
straight
I
away.
didn't know that.
So now I guess Leicester now have been emptied out, right? They've all the talent for
Yeah,
spacing
Barnes
left.
gone. Oh,
Barnes,
that's super
Maddison.
Harry Souttar.
Hey, we're gonna hold on 1 second. Guess who's back in Man United?
Johnny Evans.
Johnny Evans.
is
I
back.
know, that's crazy.
What a random
I know,
like
really random signing.
didn't come back.
Yeah.
But
He's
apparently
the
he's not playing
No,
in the
he-
year.
he-
He's
a
also
short-term
he's also
deal.
the
Apparently
only,
he's just training with
he's
them.
also the only player in the squad to
Won a
Premier
Premier
League,
League,
yeah.
To be honest, though, I'd back him there over Maguire as
The
like
comment
a fifth
section,
choice
the
centre
comment
back.
section was all like better than Maguire.
Would you
better
not
than
play him
Maguire.
like as your fifth choice centre back?
I would definitely play him over Maguire.
Well, we got Lindelof is going to be a backup.
Bro, Maguire has got to go.
It doesn't look like we're going to sign another backup.
Sounds like Maguire might have gone to Chelsea because obviously Wesley
No,
Fofana.
there's a big link there now.
Yeah, because Wesley Fofana got injured.
Well, if yeah,
He's done his ACL.
I know. That guy cannot catch a break. So when he left Leicester, didn't he injure himself
So he
then
bought,
before he
got
joined
bought for
Chelsea?
70 mil
You know
and
what?
didn't play for like 3 months because
he-
he was out for the whole
Yeah.
start of the season. Then he came back,
70,
played a game,
95.
did his hammy,
Yeah.
came back again. Like, huh?
95.
You sure? I thought it was like
Yes,
75.
it was
I'm
a
sure it
95.
was 75
It
million euros.
broke Harry Maguire's record.
Okay, well, look, regardless, they spent
He's so talented as well.
like a lot of money on a centre back who's probably I think played like maybe 10 games for them last year.
Max, yeah.
He's out for the season. He's 24, I think, this year. He's young, but
I think it was a silly signing though because at Lens where he was before, he did a big injury.
He
At
forced-
Leicester, he did a big injury, and then they signed him for. How do you sign someone for 95 million?
I know.
Who'd hardly.
that's bad.
Yeah, but it's top bowlers, so
Yeah, but in essence, that's worse than the Maguire deal because he has more quality than Maguire. But at least Maguire wasn't injury prone.
Yeah, no, look, it's a really weird signing, and
when he
I hope-
plays, though, he's quality.
I hope for his sake he can come back.
Can't
next year.
play them.
When do players ever come back from like in soccer, especially when do they come back
ACL
from like?
and
You look
career
at Van
injuries?
Dijk.
Yeah.
Van Dijk hasn't even been close to the same player.
Look, it was still like Van Dijk, but it was never as
The aura.
He's been nowhere near as good as he ever.
He was well and truly the best centre back in the world. I don't even reckon he'd be top 10 right now.
No, I agree. I
Yeah.
don't think he would be either.
But you got so you got Villa there now. That's solid again. Like these teams are just getting solid, right?
Yeah.
Probably not enough from Brighton. But you
Prem
wouldn't expect that.
is by far the best league in the world.
I think it's
Oh, by far.
Everyone is saying this as well. The Prem, like Ronaldo even said it in
Yeah.
his Saudi interview.
Yeah.
He's like, he's like the Saudi league is growing.
Yeah.
The only league which is outperforming the Saudi league is the Prem. The other 5 or the other European leagues are doing so bad.
There's losing
and it's
talent.
true.
Yeah.
The Prem is so good at the moment. I mean, we've just named 10 teams which we feel like, would be challenging in Europe. Honestly, like, Villa, Brighton, you think would all be able to go well in Europe in at least the Europa League.
And we've seen West Ham do well in Europe as well, so that's another team.
Yeah, West Ham.
And West Ham finished like 16.
15, 16th. Won the bloody... Oh, it's nuts.
Yeah, it's a level above, isn't it? And where they keep just taking other leagues' talent. Pau Torres, Rav Diaby. So, yeah. It's
they just make so much more money than everyone else because everyone watches the Prem though as well.
Yeah. Oh, it's if you were like one of the owners of like the other leagues, like one of the major investors in the other leagues, you'd be pretty stressful because like
it's tough.
It doesn't look like it's growing out at all. I mean these leagues, they look to becoming just more and more associated with like just their own country. Yeah. And the Prem is looking to be like basically the Super
international league.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Other news, I guess Pulisic, another Chelsea out. He went to AC Milan.
Milan.
Do you reckon he'll, refine, I guess, that Dortmund
no one has
COVID?
Really. Apart from Haaland and Bellingham,
form.
who are a bit different, I don't think anyone's really found what
Dembele when he's fit.
He showed a little bit when he was fit.
Yeah.
No,
the start of last season.
He was never the 100 million player that they bought. Like,
you look at the players like at Dortmund, though, like Gio Reyna there was carving it at one point. Like, I don't think that guy would do well at any Premier League club.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably more to what you were saying before. Like the leagues are now so different that Gio Reyna does a job for a second place team that nearly won the league last year. Like,
it is. It also like makes it interesting in terms of like the transfer prospect when like you're signing players from elsewhere now. You know, it makes it feel like even more of a big risk because these clubs are still charging massive fees. Like,
exactly.
That hasn't changed yet.
Yeah,
but I think we have seen a lot in recent times that it's becoming more and more of a gamble where these guys come in and have an instant impact. Like, obviously, like Werner came in, didn't hit the ground running. Havertz has shown a little bit of it, but like, has sort of been moved on from Chelsea, giving him like a second life at us, maybe.
Chance,
see if he can come good. But it does feel like the level is getting further and further apart.
Yeah, like it just seems like every season you see the talent slowly and surely goes away. Yeah. But is Pulisic probably the last of that sort of really good Dortmund group? Because I think now they're there's no real superstars at Dortmund. Like,
you got Adeyemi, you got that are coming through. You got what's his name, Makoko
will be good.
Yeah, how old is he? Really young.
They're like 19.
He made his debut at 16.
Yeah,
so he's probably like 18, 19 now.
He scored a few goals last year as well, from my recollection.
No, they're still obviously like it feels like they find some, but you're right. Of that crop, Bellingham and Haaland were the main ones.
Guys,
they're gone now. So.
Yeah. And then randoms like this, I've sent us a year. So Romeo joined Barcelona.
Yeah, I saw
what sort of tax evasion stuff's going on there?
Did you see how he had to pay out of his own money to join?
Did he?
He had to pay a mil to join, took a pay cut, and there was one more thing he did. I don't know, but he had to pay a mil.
What is going on at Barcelona?
I know. I guess
I don't understand it because surely you've got still, unless they're planning to get rid of him, but it doesn't look like it because you've not heard nothing. They've still got De Jong, Pedri, Kessie, Gavi
as well.
And then surely after that, if they were to Rafinha, if they were surely to get injuries after that, surely it's the La Masia Academy that could bring someone through that'd be better than Oriol Romeo.
The brother, how old is he? Like 35.
Yeah, I don't think Romeo was that bad last year though. But
I don't know. You've been watching the Spanish league playing for who did he play for?
Like,
yeah, but no, Romeo looked alright last year. But from what I saw, but like, I know what you mean. It is a really random sign.
Surely you go to the academy at that point.
They're just like, what they got someone. They loaned someone across,
and they got Gundo
Gundo. I don't get it.
So they got 5 midfielders who are class. The fact that they're going to get 3 injuries, they've got to get 3 injuries for him to play. So then for him to play, if they get 3 injuries, surely bring an academy player for him.
And he paid his own money to get there. And I'm going to put more because they'd loaned something the other way to get him in. I think like that. They had to loan someone out.
I don't even know. Barca's squad is so weird. Barca's finances are so cool.
Do you reckon they could eventually just go bust? Especially with this new stadium and
everything. I don't think they can because
it?
everything, legit, all the other clubs would pay for Barca to stick around. But but it does sound like they are in a world. I mean, yeah.
They're so dysfunctional.
How are they funding Cam Newton? Like, how are they like? What is going on there?
Well, I went to the tour. There's a lot of people walking through. I can foot traffic.
How did you go to the tour though? They're splashing down the stadium.
I went to be part of it, and then there's some museum part of it. But like literally, the amount of people that walk through, I could have funded you a stadium. There was people everywhere.
Yeah,
it's
very iconic.
The outside revenue probably does enough, but like it looks so dysfunctional that it's surprising
they are
they're
like
winning on the
$2
pitch.
million in debt, which is a crazy amount of debt.
Yeah.
Like that is, I mean, and it seems to be growing. But I don't know how these clubs' finances work at all. I have no idea. I mean, I know like Chelsea was in like 1.5 mil debt when Abramovich sold it, and I know all these clubs have a lot of debt, but I just don't think that necessarily Barca's net worth is like is equivalent of these big Premier League clubs.
They've probably got to sell to someone that can just cover the debt and sell for
who's
something.
going to cover all
less.
this debt?
What's their team value worth?
Okay,
Like 500 mil?
doesn't matter. They're still a $5.5 billion club.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think?
So
I don't
with
know.
the new stadium
What
as well,
they've got to do is they've got to sell it for like 5, a little bit under, and hope that and do an agreement where the new owners
takes
come
away all
in,
the debt.
take
Who's
over
going to pay all that money? Who
No one
can,
wants to
who
take
can
over
afford
Barca
all
right
that
now.
debt?
No one will want to take over Barca.
It'd be some like
It'd
Arabs
take so
that
long
want
to. It'd take so long to return on your investment. No, I agree with you in that sense, but in terms of an investment, it's like, as we said, why would you want to invest in any league besides the Prem?
Yeah.
The Prem is growing nuts.
But even
Every
United got, I think, a bill debt or something like that.
No, but it's about the growth of the league which surrounds it. Like, you know, these other leagues, these other clubs are just growing because the league is growing. The Barca and Madrid and stuff have to try and keep the league afloat.
Because otherwise there's nothing there. There's like nothing there in
otherwise it's
Spain.
Levante and, you know, like...
Yeah. It's a dark league.
Celta Vigo. Betis.
Yeah, other than that, I think that's about it for the 3 weeks we've been away. Obviously, I think it's gone a little bit quiet pre-season now, but we'll do our best we can with whatever news comes through.
Some predictions and stuff.
Yeah, we'll get some predictions going through because it's getting closer than I thought, Thanks, guys, for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like the video, all that stuff, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys next week for another video.